Everyone, welcome to the last pitch deconstruction day for AngelNV, the Entrepreneurs Bootcamp. While everyone's trickling in, I'm going to go over just a few things, about AngelNV, the programs we have here, and Startup NV, some of the programs that we work with to help develop the infrastructure and the support network for entrepreneurs and startups within the Nevada-based ecosystem. So first, I want to go over some of our sponsors. So these are some of the sponsors that are sponsoring the AngelNV Entrepreneurs Bootcamp, and it is various other programs that were going to be taking place this last year and also in the new year 2022. So of course, the city of Las Vegas, first and foremost, city of Las Vegas has been one of the greater supporters of our work here, particularly in our southern ecosystem. They have been providing backbone support and ecosystem engagement and support here in the southern ecosystem and in Las Vegas. They provide a lot of the space that we have here. So if you guys haven't had a chance to come out and check out the International Innovation Center in downtown Las Vegas and the new Herbert Center that's opening up, the co-working space here is great, and there's additional programs and structure coming into it to make it a even more beneficial and supportive working location for startups. So they've been a great job of fostering innovation in this community, and I encourage you guys to check out their website and stay tuned on their local social media for some of the things they're doing, particularly out of the Office of Economic Development for the city of Las Vegas. Now, additionally, we have the Brex card. So Brex is the card for startups. They're one of the, and they themselves are a former startup. They have a really cool story. You guys can go look them up on Crunchbase or Google later, or their website. But we, for a limited time, if you guys are joining up and considering Brex card to do some of your front-end financing needs for your startup, if you join now with the discount code that we have that are listed here, you can get a $500 credit to your account. So that's something awesome to consider, particularly if you guys are just starting out, you need an expense account. This is a card designed by a startup for startups. And of course, Glassboard Technology. So Glassboard is where we form our SPVs. Glassboard Technology is a financial facing company for forming SPVs, managing your cap table, managing your investor inputs. So you guys should definitely be checking out Glassboard Technology to manage those back-end components and consider their associated technologies. And of course, the number of programs that we have running besides AngelNV, Startup NV, the accelerator, Grow NV, the incubator, and the Fund NV, which makes those investments in those accelerator companies. We'll talk a little bit about those as well as we have people trickle in. So this is our startup program and a process that many of you are familiar with. But Startup NV, through our various programs, aim to develop founders and entrepreneurs all the way through the feasibility stage to a viability, and then to help with the scalability component, getting you to that hyper growth, those A+ rounds. And AngelNV hopes to help run you guys through kind of a basic entrepreneurship 101, then raising capital 101, and to eventually connect you guys to, as we've been talking about for some time now, the AngelNV pitch competition taking place in April, where you and amongst a number of other startups will be entering a pitch competition for a $200,000 investment from our angel group, the angel side. And we also have the accelerator, which being that flagship program that many of you have already heard about. But the accelerator Startup NV aims to take companies with a viable beta and make that investment and help them scale and grow to that next, and make them attractive to later stage funding. And we regularly take, twice a month, we take pitches for entering into that accelerator. So if you guys have a viable concept, a number of you probably already submitted to pitch to the accelerator on our pitch day for 50K. But feel free, start working on your concept and submit that application so you guys can get in line for pitching to the accelerator and the various instruments and capital that comes along with that. Who knows? You guys may be the next, major Nevada unicorn. Additionally, we realized quite a while ago that some companies are not quite ready for the accelerator. They will be, but they're not quite ready. And we want to provide those capital, the different resources and programs for those startups. So we of course have our Grow NV incubator. If you're just not quite certain if you're ready, or maybe you've pitched before and they determine you're not quite ready, but you will be in the future, GrowNV is a program for you, where we aim to provide mentorship, connecting you guys to business professionals in various fields, subject matter experts, and providing you with a framework to start on the early stages of growth and development for your concept through ideation, hopefully all the way to beta, where you can then pitch to the accelerator. Now, on this program, so this is essentially everything I just went all over. The incubator for pre-accelerated companies, the Startup NV Accelerator, and the AngelNV Founder Bootcamp, which you are all anticipating or participating in right now. So does this work? Well, these are some of the companies that we've invested in this year. And to date, we've heard over 700 pitches. So I know that those of you that are tuning in for this pitch deconstruction, rest assured that we are experts in early stage capital and early stage pitches at this point. So we've heard over 700 of them. We've accepted 52 companies in the accelerator, and we've funded 28 companies. And together with our capital and our network and our introductions, we've helped those companies raise over $70 million. So this process works, and we're excited and happy that we can say so. So that's everything that we have today on this component, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the pitch deconstruction. The pitch deconstruction is going to run like it has the last few. Those of you attending in new, Maggie's going to take over and kind of go over what this pitch process looks like. We don't have too many participants today, so we will be able to hopefully give a number of you, most of you, an opportunity to do your 1-minute pitch, and then we will select, Maggie, 5 or 6 companies will be voted on to give their 3-minute pitches. But we're very excited that you'll be joining us today for pitch deconstruction. Maggie, to you, if you have anything to add on kind of logistics, how we're going to run this today.
Okay, everyone, if you remember, it's a 1-minute pitch. I call on you in the order in which you've signed up. And so far, there are 5 of you. And Yves is going first, and he gets to do his 1-minute pitch, and we give feedback immediately after that. And then he gets to do it again at the end of the 1-minute pitches. And then we'll take a few minutes and vote on who we want to hear a 3-minute pitch from. So if you don't have a deck for a 3-minute pitch, looks like most of you do, one person doesn't, then let us know so that we can remove you from the voting form. And we're going to start with Yves. It's 1 minute. And I've got my timer here. So it's that timer. And I will interrupt you if you go beyond your 1 minute. And we've got Bill Zuckerberg here. He is on the capital committee for Startup NV. He is one of the fund managers for Fund NV and is instrumental in doing due diligence for the companies that we invite to Fund NV, and also is a big participant in the AngelNV when we get down to the final 6 companies. Bill is the guy that we count on for finding any little issues when it comes to accounting and your books. Let's see, Rosalie has her name or her hand up. So let me see if I can allow you to talk. There you go. Rosalie, what's the issue?
No, I just put a question on there. I was just making sure I'm in queue to pitch because I don't know where to sign up. Did I sign up appropriately for this?
I don't see you on the list. I just put the form in there again.
Okay.
I'm taking it. Yeah, when you join in, you don't see any of the previous chat information. So I have to keep putting the link to the form in. So go ahead and sign up.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So Yves, if you're ready, we're going to get going with you. And I'm allowing you to talk. And so remember this one, there are no slides for this one. It's just 1 minute of talking. So there's no sharing at this point. So if you're ready, whoops, what happened there? We lost him. He was going to go first and we lost him. Do you see him, Logan?
I do not. I'm anticipating he's going to rejoin immediately.
Yes. I'm looking for that.
Yeah, I anticipate he'll join immediately. He may have, did you, and he may have clicked when instead of accept, he may have clicked, leave the meeting or something.
Oh,
But I
God.
anticipate we'll have him pretty quickly. Again, as you guys, this one will have feedback on, and then we will have the 1 minute pitches go without feedback back to back, and then you all as attending members will vote on who you want to hear 3 minute pitches from. Let's see. And I'm waiting. I have not received a call or an email from him. I anticipate that he's all right.
Okay, well, since he still hasn't joined us, we danced around for about a minute here. Let's go to our second person, who is Manny Garcia with Sherman Industries. So, Manny,
Okay.
when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead, and I will start the timer when after you say your name and company.
Hi, I'm Manny Garcia with Sherman Industries. I installed my home theater, and because of technology changes, after a few years, I had a nest of wires cascading out of my TV again. I threw a Super Bowl party, and one of the kids ran off with a handful of my TV wires. I was so embarrassed. I didn't get the game on until halftime. It's a problem that's worth $300 million in new home construction alone, and I patented the solution. It's so simple to use. I just dropped the wire down the wall behind the TV, added a new self-retaining and recessed wall connect TV outlet to my existing wall connect TV outlet panel, and it was done. My competitor's unruly product that I removed retails for $100 online in hardware stores, department stores, and technology stores. $200,000 will pay for the tooling, marketing, and initial production to launch the Wall Connect TV outlets in 6 months. I'm Manny Garcia with Sherman Industries for a better cable management solution. Thank you.
Perfect. Look at that. 2 seconds left. You must have rehearsed.
A little bit.
Okay, I'm going to call on Bill first. Bill, did you hear the pitch?
I did. I was carefully tracking to see if he covered all the items, and he did. He got 100%. He hit it. He hit the bell.
Okay.
Very nice. I mean, got the problem, got the solution. The market he slipped in there, competition he talked about, how he was going to sell his business, and what he was asking for funding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Logan? Feedback, Logan?
Everyone who's participating, if you want to know how to do a 1 minute elevator pitch, you heard it tonight. Well, I was looking for something to comment about that could be constructive or contradictory, but well done, Manny. You hit, to echo Bill's point, you hit all the main points. And to boot, you hit all the main points, but you also did a good job of opening with like, here's a scenario, here's an idea, there's a nest, you used the word nest of wires behind my cable, there's kids tripping on it, so great way to kind of set the problem at play and come up with a solution, slip in the market sizing there, the patent, et cetera. So well done, actually.
Thank you.
Maggie. Yeah.
Manny, it was a really good job. You didn't seem rushed, but what I really appreciated was instead of showing your face, you showed this logo and it has a diagram of your solution. And I think that was very valuable as well.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to go quickly through the rest of the people who have signed up. And there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So it's going to go quickly. And so next up we have, let's see, Tal James Luther. So Manny, I'm going to make you unable to talk. And so go ahead and say your name and your company, and I'll start timing after that.
Okay, I'm Tal James from the Premeditated Millionaires. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to do is a service-based program that helps the community at whole, would be helping at-risk youth by facilitating drone footage for the real estate market. So what we're looking to do is teach people how to fly drones, do basic video editing, and by doing so, we facilitate a faster, more functional real estate market, while also protecting each other from having to have overexposure through the real estate process over like selling homes, renting properties, and all that stuff. Because once you've actually gone to a place through a film, where we're trying to differentiate ourselves from just a regular real estate process of like filming it to create cinematic videos. So yeah, that's what we're looking to do. Capital wise, ranging from anything from like 25K, so that I can actually hire at least 4 people, have the office space, and basically kind of start as like an sorry, I'm getting
Yep, time's up.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, we're moving on to the next person, and that is Jed Diago with Giago. There you go, same deal, Jose. I will start the timer after you say your name and company.
Okay, I'm Jed Diago, or Diago. So think of, imagine this. It's Friday night, you got out of work, but you're feeling spontaneous. You ask your friends or loved ones for a night out. However, you don't know where to go. Many options provided online, but you end up arguing on which one's just the right vibe. Then you lose track of time. Well, Diago came up with a platform that makes these decisions easier for you by limiting your decisions without actually limiting your decisions. There are many review websites or applications out currently. However, the written reviews are from random people you don't know or trust. You have no way to prove if they've actually been there. And the photos that you see online are primarily focused on the food and not the whole experience businesses could provide. While social media users, they take selfies anywhere. They take photos of their food, post them for others to see. As they say, you know, a picture speaks 1,000 words. Giago will utilize social media content as a form of review. This way you could see and know the reviewer, get the vibe they're portraying in their content, hence showcasing the experience as a whole. Then for you to gauge if it's the right vibe for a fun night out. That's it.
Okay, so that's the sum of your pitch.
Yes, I didn't know there was like I forgot to ask, basically.
Okay, all righty. He's spelling it Jiago, Giago.
Yes.
Okay, a combination of your first and last names.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We will get back to you. And Margie, you're up next.
All right, my name is Margie Traxler. I'm the founder and CEO of Grain Free Mamas. In 2004, my then 6-year-old daughter bent over screaming. I rushed her to the hospital. It wasn't her appendix. It was the combination of wheat and sugar that was burning holes in her intestines. And that launched a whole new passion inside of me to create foods that she could safely eat. Do you know today they estimate that but 33% of America suffers from autoimmune diseases, and they stand in front of the fridge and what are they going to make? What are they going to eat? What are they going to safely put into their body and not have to worry about the other? And so that's where Grain Free Mamas comes in. We have the products, crepes, cookies, pizza crust, and muffins to meet the demand in a growing market. Global prepared flour mixes, the total attainable market is 25.49 billion. We have all the pieces in place. We're looking for $1 million to launch our retail products and to be able to grow and scale and meet the needs of the people.
Oh, right under the wire there, Margie. Lastly, we have Rosalie.
I am Rosalie Bingham. I'm the CEO of Local Sparks, a B Corporation. We're a consortium of problem solvers and developers that came out of retirement, basically, because we were all a little frustrated and thinking that April Fool's Day was just endless. It just kept going on and on. And so we, as investors, business owners, and entrepreneurs, realized the importance of a viable business plan that can be profitable within 24 months. We are a consortium of problem solvers and developers looking for the best solutions to the biggest problems. And I'd love to share, what I'd like to share with you now is all the heavy lifting that have been done on a viable plan that we've put together to address the affordable housing, food, water, and energy shortage, starting with the biggest veterans here in town. And what are we contributing? We're contributing matching funds up to $250,000 to purchase the land. And also we have patented innovative technology that are going to put their innovative technology on the property at their cost, where we grow our own food, we process our own waste, and we create our harvesting energy.
Rosalie, 1 minute's not very long.
That was it.
That was it. Okay, so normally this is where we would ask the first person if they're ready to go again. But Manny did such a great job. Nobody had any criticisms for him. So I don't know if he wants to repeat himself. So in the meantime, let me get the link up for those that we want to hear a 3-minute pitch from. Is there anybody else who wants to, at the last minute, sort of raise their hand? You can do that and do a 1-minute pitch before we start the voting. Okay, I don't see anybody that is trying to do that. So here is the link for voting. Bill, do you have any thoughts overall about the 1-minute pitches that we heard after Manny?
I'd say what was missing probably on 3 out of 4 was either something about competition or market. GF Mama pretty much covered most of it. I didn't see anything about comp, but you know, I could have missed it. But and Rosalie kind of missed something about either market or comp. I'm assuming it was a nonprofit, but so I really couldn't tell what the business model was going to be. And for Giago missed market, comps, biz, and ask, but I think you ran out of time kind of. You spent quite a bit of time on the problem too. It's kind of hard to get it in there in 1 minute. You got to really practice it. It's hard.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice, and it takes like planning it out so that you're covering all of the 7 topics that you should be covering. And Rosalie, I don't know, I think I saw you one other time in one of these sessions, but I'm not sure that you got the kind of the overview of the topics that we want to see in a pitch. Even if it's just a 1-minute pitch. 1-minute pitch is more of a hook so that people say, tell me more. But we're also looking for information on the business model for the company, and if you have an ask, what that might be and what you would use it for. Logan, feedback on the 1-minute pitches overall?
Yeah, actually, I had the wherewithal to take some notes, but Manny, of course, stellar, well done. Cal, you had a lot of moving components, a lot of things that you're going to hear, particularly for 1-minute pitches. Tighten it up, tighten the focus up. And it was hard for me to understand exactly how you're connecting youth benefits to drones to real estate. And I kind of got the fix between like using drones to capture footage of real estate, but you know, it's really hard in a 1-minute pitch. You got to really nail down. In a 3-minute pitch, that's a little bit easier. Maybe you can elucidate on that. Without, you know, you have to really nail down the focus and the connecting and connect them correctly, or else you leave us in the bewilderment of like, okay, a lot of moving parts. I don't know exactly what's going on. Giago, I don't know. You know, you didn't necessarily hit on the competitors that I was looking for, because when you were going through the 1-minute pitch, I was kind of like, oh, well, how's this different than Yelp or Instagram? And granted, you may have said something there, but it's really hard on a 1-minute pitch. You really got to nail down that differentiating point so that I get it right off the bat. Again, it gets easier with a 3-minute, it gets easier with 10-minute, but still the component that you need to get out is, what are you doing that's going to make me say, oh, that's different than what everyone else is doing? Rosalie, I kind of echo Bill, you know, just kind of just a little bit. I didn't exactly understand what the business model, nonprofit, for profit, or what exactly the end product was, other than you guys had a patch land and we're going to create an innovative ecosystem or community. Wasn't quite sure on that. Again, and I see, Rosalie, I see your, you know, your comment. Yeah, okay, B Corp. Yeah, correct. Well, we start with the 1-minute and then we go to a 3-minute pitch. So if you get selected, be ready for that 3-minute pitch. But on that, those are the notes that I jotted down as we were going through these magazines.
I would say, yeah, it takes a lot of practice, and I think it actually helps to script it, to actually write it out and then practice it, even if you're just reading it slowly at first, and then put the paper away and try to do it without reading the script. And what you'll find is you tend to rush through it when you're not reading it, and you may forget a couple of elements. So it just really, it takes a lot of practice, 20 or 30 times before each time you have to pitch. And pitching is something that you will end up doing quite a lot. And You can't be intimidated by it, and you do have to tailor the pitch, depending on how long it is, for your audience. So far we have 8 people who have voted out of 12. Well, there's 15 of us. So that's about half. I just put in the chat that anybody can vote, even if they didn't do their own pitch, they can vote for the ones that they do want to hear more from. And yes, you have to have a tough skin for feedback. That's absolutely right, Christopher. We only have 6 companies total that wanted to pitch. So how does everybody feel about letting them all pitch for 3 minutes if they do have a deck? If you don't have a deck, please let me know, and then we won't have you do the 3-minute pitch. I can tell you, I'll share my screen. Here is the result. So Sherman Industries garnered the most votes, and then Grain-Free Mamas came in second. Premeditated Millionaires came in 6th, and then the others brought up the rear. But if everybody is good with hearing from everybody, then we'll do it in the order in which they won their vote. So Sherman, if you're ready. I'm sorry, it's Manny.
So I'm Sherman Industries. This is a brand new product I have, and this is our launch deck. And the problem is I was talking about when TV outlets are installed, they're obsolete. There's no way to service them. There's no way to update it. And you end up with a gaggle of wires hanging down your wall. If you're like me, there's no way to watch TV. So with my product, you can keep up with technology. They're dynamic, they're changeable, they're unlimited in configurations, and you always have a nice clean wall not to distract you. This is kind of a word salad, but it's our demographic. Your homeowners, suburban homeowners, people that work on their own homes, people that like to spend time in their home theaters, people want to have a product installed in their next home that they can just go to Home Depot and pick up whatever they need to service the product. The global home theater market last year was 9 billion. The US home theater market was 3 billion. And just new home receptacles last year was 300 million. It's a huge, huge market. This is my product. You can see it's a modular product. You can not only change the dimensions of it, you can also change the inputs. Each piece is individual, self-retaining. You can add pieces, you can change the keystones as technology changes. It never goes obsolete. You can turn the thing vertical and you can go straight up the wall. So if you're comparing to the competition, mine is the only one that's a permanent solution. Mine is the only one that's safe for the average homeowner to handle. All the other products, they recommend that they're installed by an electrician. The competition, Legrand is everywhere. Home Depot sells the Power Bridge, RCA's and Target and Walmart. They're basically all the same products. My milestones, I'm patented, US, Canada, Taiwan, China. I'm certified, US, UL certified, US and Canada. I'm approved to sell to the government. I'm a service disabled veteran, so I get a 3% set aside entitlement. The same thing with the VA. I go to the front of the line at the VA because of my veteran status. I've been approved at Walmart. I just applied for Ace Hardware, and we're looking at that. We're having a love affair on LinkedIn. My channels of distribution would be Ace Hardware primarily. Once I get product manufactured, then I could submit to the VA and to GSA. That gets me into electrical wholesalers, which gets me into homes and gets me down the road. So we're looking for 200,000 to start this, 80,000 for the tooling, the UL listing, 80,000 for the initial product run, 40,000 for investing, marketing, promotions, trade shows. It's myself and my wife. It's a very good combination. I'm an electrician and she's a financial person. And so it's actually quite a balanced couple. We're working with Product Mentor, and Product Mentor is Mike Corradini and Stephen Rich. Mike Corradini is an internet guru for marketing, and
Manny, 3 minutes goes by fast too. Okay, Bill, feedback.
So I liked it. You were when you showed the visuals, it's pretty clear what the problem is. That just hits you right in the face. You got around, I think, after the market to talking about what the product looked like and how it worked and that it was modular, but it doesn't really matter. You know, you got to it. Market was defined. I like the fact that you mentioned from the business standpoint that you were a veteran. It gives you veteran status and give you entree into the GSA system. That's a big plus, I think, from an investor standpoint, because it's you more or less are protected in the way that system works. So from an investor standpoint, it's kind of nice. And you got all the, again, you hit all the other points. Team, ask, you ran over a little bit, but with practice, you know, you bring it back in. But I think you were mostly done by the time you got cut off.
Thank you.
Yeah, similar. Manny, well done. Again, kind of, you know, all the points that Bill would reiterate, I reiterate all the points that Bill said, particularly about showing what the problem and solution were. It was great. I knew kind of exactly what it was. It wasn't made overly technical. You know, I kind of got what it was. Good job on the timestamp some. You with that were able to. I didn't have enough time to really dissect it, but I could pretty quickly understand how large your market was, at least the initial off the bat, how large it was and what the inherent potential investment opportunity was there. So good job of showing that and not making it overcomplicated. Comps as well. Good job of showing the comps. I think the milestone slide and the team slide probably had too much wording for a 3-minute pitch. You know, I was never going to read through all that. It might have been better to truncate or make them kind of similar to your channel slide. You know, your channel slide, you had logos and images, and it was just easy. You just said what it is, and I immediately got you going for those channels and who the vendors going. If you work on having, particularly for shorter slides, you know, for the team particularly, you got a lot of lining on a lot of words for the team, bullet points and logos. You know, if you guys have worked in different fields or for different big projects or big companies, those go a long way because I can see the logo and I can understand, you know, the connotations that come with that versus having to read through the lines of it, particularly when you're time crunched on a pitch. But overall, well done.
Thank you. One thing to add that I noticed in my notes here, in the business area, if you could mention the cost, you know, what you're charging for it, gives people an idea of, you know, what it might look like in the market, and you can either say that it's a high margin product, or you can give the margin. You know, you're going to get asked one way or the other. So those were the other points in the business area that you can slip in.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Nick, who is one of our investors in AngelNV, has a comment in the chat saying that he would recommend more time on the solution. I think you spent an excessive amount of time on the retail partners that you're going after. When they're up there on the slide, you don't have to name each and every one of them. Nick is also asking whether you need to loop the cords through the wall. Don't answer that. What I noticed was that you didn't talk about the price, and you also didn't talk about having a wholesale component that would go to building manufacturers, construction. So I didn't understand if that's a possibility for you, if you could sell it to electricians and get it installed in homes so that it is modular, so that the base thing is there with, you know, maybe 8 connections, and then it can be customized for each user. So every investor is also a consumer. So you do want to give them a notion of what it might cost them, because, you know, if the light bulb goes off for them and says, oh, that's not as expensive as I thought it might be, then that's going to pique their interest right there. So I would say that your pitch was a little unbalanced in that you had great visuals that explain the problem and your solution. And then there was a lot of time that was spent on your channels, but you didn't cover whether you had the ability to do a wholesale sale. And your ask was a little, I would criticize it more if it were a 10-minute pitch and it had those 3 general categories. I would be interested in more specificity on the use of funds. That's all I say. But if you want to answer, Nick, in the chat, please do so.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then everybody will benefit from the answer there. All right, moving on to our next up was Grain-Free Mamas. Margie, are you ready?
Are you ready for me to start?
I'm ready. Got the timer going. I mean, it's ready to go.
Okay. My name is Margie Traxler. I'm the founder and CEO of Grain-Free Mamas. In 2004, my then 6-year-old daughter bent over screaming. I thought her appendix had burst, and we rushed to the hospital only to find out that everything came back negative. And what turned out being the problem was the combination of wheat and sugar. And so instantaneously, we were gluten-free. We went to the store, found the best looking gluten-free product so that I could tell her, oh no, it's not going to be that bad. We take a bite of this stuff and poof, it explodes like sawdust in our mouths. And so that day we made a pinky promise that someday we would provide the products and the resources that we wish were available for us. And so that's what I worked on. The problem, it went too far. Hang on, let me see if I can go backwards. Did I go back far now? Yes. Okay, so we're going to target consumers that have to and consumers that choose to, because those are the people that are most affected by this problem. It could be autoimmune. It could be that they have obesity problems. That encompasses at least 35% of the population. And yet there's not, you go to the baking aisle and there isn't anything that is really totally safe for these people to eat. And oh my gosh, it's jumping all over the place. So that's where Grain-Free Mamas comes in. We have our crepe mixes, our pizza crust mix, our cookie mixes, and our muffin mixes. And if you look here at our competition, the biggest difference between us and our competition is we use no artificial flavors, colors, preservatives. We're gluten, grain, and sugar-free, which makes them edible grasses-free, and we're botanical nut-free. So if you look on the cost per serving comparison, because our products are lighter than a wheat-based product, but if you look to the far right, we rank superior to all these different companies. So the market's huge, 25.49 billion and then 2.42 billion in the pizza crust. We have the places, we've launched them on Amazon and Walmart.com, and we have them on our website, but now we're looking to move into retail. We've met with retailers. 7 of the top 10 are totally interested in our products. They needed us to be with a distribution partner. Now we have KeHE. We plan on going to market beginning in one distribution center and just in the Northeast quadrant of America. That's where the shipping lines are open at this time. My team is excellent. People with decades of experience, and I'm super excited about them. Our forecasted revenue is, after we get that first year and we get going, it's a steep climb. And then we're looking for 1 million. The use of funds the bulk of it goes to sales and marketing, then inventory and operating expenses, with a 24% net profit margin is what we're targeting. So thank you.
Good on the timing. Okay, thank you for stopping sharing. That's wonderful. Bill.
I'm going to let Logan go first this time.
There you go, Logan.
Oh boy, pressure's on. All right. So first of all, how you structured the slides was really good. The clarity, they're simple. They look nice too, which is always a bonus, but of course there's just the clarity of the slides. They're not overcrowded. So well done on that. A lot of times people have way too much information on their slides, and you, Manny, and Manny both done a pretty solid job of that. Of course, practice makes perfect. And this one's a little bit different because you weren't the sole pitching party here, so you weren't able to necessarily join this early and practice your slide and make sure they work. But think about this experience of when next time you're pitching for the bucks with someone, if you can get in even 15 minutes early to just test and be ready, and you have to sit in the waiting room per se for a little bit of time, always do. So you can test out your technical things, make sure your slides are flowing, make sure it's the right slides that you want. So that's, not necessarily something you could have done for this one because of the pace we're putting these in, but keep that in mind for the future. When you address the cost per serving slide, I was lost in that. When you have too much, again, your slides were great, and then they got that one, and I was like, what am I looking on? That's something you include in an index, or you bring to a deeper dive meeting when you meet with an investment committee later to kind of go over technical details of this. It's really hard to do that with a regular pitch and get any point across. If you're going to do that, truncate that message, simplify it so that it's showing the major points that you want to emphasize with that. So that's something you gotta, you can't be having really complex components like that inside your slides. Even if you say, I can draw your attention in this part, my attention is going to be on the whole thing and I'm going to lose it. Sam, you talked about your market, you big markets, great, but you didn't really address like in a pertinent enough fashion, like what is your song? We talked about like it's great you have a giant market, but I want to know what part of that market you can foresee, feasibly capture within the next, 3 to 5 years. So that's what I felt when I said, great that you had the pizza market and the crust and the bread market, but those were giant, you listed, but I didn't see enough information in dollar signs to tell me like, what is the market that you are going to be capturing? Because that intrinsically tells me as an investor, what is the investment opportunity for this? That's really the important part of the TAM SAM SOM, and it was a little bit lacking in yours. Team slide was pretty solid. It was pretty simplified. It was logos. There may have been almost too little information. A few bullet points might have been pertinent, but overall it was pretty solid. And then I'm sure there's other things that you did a pretty solid job on hitting most of the main points. So well done. Bill, on to you.
You covered it all, buddy. I have nothing left to say. You hit it all. I mean, these are all the points that I wrote down. And I will reemphasize what he said about the cost slide. If there's something you really believe is important in there, you need to condense it down and blow it up in a way where people can understand what it is you're trying to get across. My eyes glazed over trying to read it. It's just impossible. So nobody's going to pay attention. They're trying to read the slide and they're trying to listen to you, and they'll lose half of what you're saying. So that's it. But overall, you hit most of the points, or I mean, all the points.
Thank you.
So Margie, it's good to have that slide as backup, but the way to depict it is to just put the 2 or 3 pieces of the most information on your slide. And then as somebody gets into due diligence, you can say, this is where I got that information.
Okay, yeah, you know what, I threw that in there just a few minutes ago because I thought, well, I'm just going to leave it in there because I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about that particular site, because I think that information is important because it's the cost per serving and how we have a better cost per serving. But you're right, I need to do it a totally different way.
So
But
that sounds,
you guys kind of helped me figure out how to do it. So thank you.
that sounds like a competitive item that maybe you can include in your competitive slide. Take the gist out of it and, create another row there for the cost item.
Serving. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was talking to you. I was like, oh, I could put it right there. But yeah, I agree with you. It'd make it a lot easier to read because I was like, well, but I left it there. So, and I do have the TAM SAM SOM. I was just pitching to somebody else that didn't want that. So I took that part out and I can put it back in because I have it. So.
Okay, well, let me tell you that if you watched Pitch Decks 101, you would see that a survey of a bunch of really well-known angel investors, it's 1, 2, or 3 in each of their lists of things that they want to see. So it's really important. So this one person who wasn't interested in the size of the market, first of all, you would hope that they're a hands-off investor so that you don't have to deal with them a lot, because if they don't want to know the market size, they may be focusing on the wrong things.
Well, I think their approach was in a 3-minute pitch, you can't get all that in there unless you're cramming stuff in there. And I was like, well, I could take it off. It's really not that big of a deal. I've had it in and not had it in. So I totally,
right. So what you do really
pitching
is that hook in the beginning with the story. And so you're going to keep doing that because that's just great.
Thank you.
The other thing that I didn't understand, well, for the TAM that you did have there, like the flour mix market, I felt like that really shouldn't have been there because your portion of the people who are allergic to those flour mixes are the people that you're going to be serving. You may be able to garner some of the people who like regular mixes if your stuff tastes really good, but that's not really your TAM.
Well, it's global, it's gluten-free, global prepared flour mixes. That's why I had it.
It was gluten-free.
It is gluten-free.
Okay, then,
So it
then,
is my market,
Sorry.
exactly.
okay, wonderful.
So-
Um, okay, Margie, next up we have Jose, so I'm going to promote him to panelist.
I'm introducing to you guys, Jago is a tech company. Our mission is to produce innovative, creative, and functional products for the now generation. I am Jed Diago, and something about myself is I love to travel. I'm blessed to be able to travel the world, and I post on my social media my adventures for my family and friends to see. I also use social media to seek out places to visit. However, there's either lack or too much information online. So when you, most of the apps that are used like Yelp provide you a lot of options. However, it adds further confusion in decision-making, creates arguments, especially when you're planning with your friends, with people with varying opinions. And online reviews are too long to read and lessens the time you have to enjoy. So our solution is to create Ditto, a new way of searching and sharing experiences. So it's basically the best thing I could explain is a social media for places to visit or a dating app to find the perfect spot for you. The convenience of viewing photos like Instagram and filled with important information like businesses like Yelp. So it's quicker. It allows you to judge a business right away if it fits you. It's appealing. It's appealing for the current market, especially the upcoming market, which are the Gen Z. And according to our research, there's 75% of Gen Zs, they don't view or use Yelp at all. And it's new, so it'll change the way you review businesses online. Next. So our best business model is a freemium. It's free with ads using Google AdSense and a SaaS for businesses that would sign up. So it's at $9.99 per month. It's tentative pricing for now, but that's where we're going. Next. So competition, you guys asked for competition earlier. Here's competition. So we have Yelp and Google as our main competitor. However, they rely on old concept of reviews, which is still unappealing. And we have Open Table and Talk on the bottom, the red and blue circles. They do reviews. However, they're made for reservations. And we have this one yellow bee. It's called Swarm. They made an app for you to visit places as a game, so you earn points by visiting places. However, we're proposing Ditto as we will be offering new concept of review, and more than just restaurants, we will be allowing other businesses to market their business in our platform. And our market size is so I can't find any numbers for Yelp. They're hiding it really well. So, but according to their recent statistics, it says that 43 million unique visitors last year through just desktops and 52 on mobile.
Jose, I've muted you because your 3 minutes are up. It takes practice. Okay. Who wants to go first this time? Bill?
Sure. Yeah, unfortunately, you got cut off there, but so what I was trying to get out of this is, why is your product more appealing? I couldn't quite grasp what you were trying to get across, and I don't know the exact solution for you, but I don't know if maybe instead of using that square comparison, use a rack up, that shows the various companies across the top and what you're saying you're doing that's different than the others. Maybe that'll get it across. Because you're saying that's your differentiation, and I had a hard time grasping it. And then the market, you had a lot of user data in there. It really wasn't compiled in a dollar format, that would show the total market, down to your SOM, and that would be more helpful, I think. And then we didn't get to some of the others. You did cover the business though, the SaaS. I'm curious, and maybe it's covered somewhere else, is how you arrived at that pricing, but maybe that could have been covered in the competitive rack up.
Okay.
I'll jump in here, Logan. I was very confused between the product and the name of the company, because when you did your competition rack up, instead of putting the name of the product there, you put the company name.
Yes. You want me to answer or?
Well, yeah, okay, why?
Oh, basically, I made Giago as just a company. I want to produce more than just Ditto. So there's a lot more ideas that I want to make.
Okay.
So Ditto will be our first product in my company.
And that product is some new way of reviewing and finding places to go.
Yes.
Okay, so in your competition rack up, then it should be the name of the product that does that thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then when it comes to the market information, you should be searching for restaurants or places, what they spend on advertising, because this is what your niche is. So that is the whole available market is market spend by restaurants and event places and attractions. And then you're going to work it down to where you're going to start your marketing. If you're going to start in Las Vegas first, and then what you think you can reasonably achieve. So the first two numbers are researched, and the third one, your obtainable market, is a projection of what your sales are going to be. And so that's why it's important, as Bill says, to know what you're going to be charging people, how many people are going to be paying that, because that will inform your obtainable market.
So like part of my problem is that so it's a multi-sided business, so it'll be getting revenues from users, as well as that's the freemium part, and SaaS is for the businesses that would sign up, so they could, like, they have premium features to do in the app.
Yes, well, you're a businessman now, and so you need to be able to anticipate and project that 10% of your customers will buy these extra features.
Yeah, my question is, which one do I focus more? Which is more attractive to investors anyway?
Well, if it's a two-sided marketplace, you have to know both sides.
Yeah, but which one should I put in the center of everything? Because the numbers, if I can
marketplace, you can have two sides.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, I thought it would be confusing because not put too much pictures and all that. That's why I learned throughout the.
What you're trying to do is make your business attractive for investment, and so you want to capture all of the revenue.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, Logan.
All righty. So I have some comments on the points, but overall, like, I have a look at the slides, a little bit stylistic, but the look of the slides, the look of the deck, and this off the bat was okay. The one thing that was right off the bat, Maggie mentioned this, is kind of your difference between your business entity and your product. Because when you open up, you're like, we create, we are Giago, we create experiences or something along those lines. And then you jumped into an app product, and I was like, okay, I'm immediately confused. What are you raising capital for? So if you're going to raise capital for the product, start out with the product, and then later down the line, if you can address that you're investing in a business entity that owns this. Usually, if you're going to have something that's a big idea, a big startup idea, you should have that as its own umbrella, its own business, and that you can that you're raising capital for. But yeah, jumping from two different things, even if it's like an umbrella company, is a little harder. So you should just start off with the app name at the beginning. We are an app that does this, so that I am getting primed for a product that does, what you're saying. It says not a, and there's too much separation there, and I was a little confused at first.
Okay.
So this will be kind of, and to reiterate Bill's point is, I kind of get, okay, so at first I was a little bit hesitant, and I kind of got a little bit more particularly as you got down to the product and kind of, talking about it, you presenting it, I kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, what it is, but I'm still left uncertain if this is solving kind of a gaping wound or more of a paper cut, something that would be nice, but it will be up to you to demonstrate that product adoption and really communicate the point of why this is a big problem that people will pay money to solve. Because I was left a little unconvinced. The slide looked cool, the app looks cool from a conceptual standpoint. I kind of get what it is. but that'll come with time and practice and getting these points nailed down. What we're doing is differentiating and why people would pay for that solution. So you'll get that as it comes down to time. I am worried about competitors. If I see this, I'm like, oh yeah, like Yelp and all these others that do almost everything that you're talking about, just in a kind of different format. They have a different functionality to it. So is functionality the only differentiator? And is it again enough to make me pay for that solution versus what I'm looking at? One thing you're going to need to think about as you start to move this over is something called switching costs. And switching costs aren't necessarily monetary costs. What those are is they're the implicit barriers to me changing from something I already know and use, even if it's not that great. The adage that Maggie's used a few times with that is has to be 10 times as good and 30% cheaper. Now, you got to think about how to make that experience. And I was a little bit lost on how is that much better that I would switch from using Yelp or other things. You'll work on that. You'll get that nailed down. Market size, real quick, market size. Maggie probably touched base on this. I didn't really see too much in the dollar signs. So again, you can find out how many users, which is valuable, particularly for an app experience.
Yeah.
But I also need to see what is the sizes or what is the, again, implicit investment opportunity from this concept.
Okay.
Do you have a question at all?
No, because I was gonna say, I kind of forgot it, but I was gonna
you can always email me.
Yeah, the next slide that was supposed to come was supposed to be the
competitive
yeah.
or 10 cents on.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, like I'm super confused on that one. I don't think it's right as well. But my math, because I focus on just one app because my key segment or customer segment is people in the US from 18 to 35 who uses social media, and that's where my market is, and that's because I'm pretty much appealing to the current and upcoming market, which is making written reviews very obsolete now because none of my generation or the current generation are going to read long paragraphs of comment anymore. People are just looking through Instagram now or Facebook based on pictures just to see. So I'm still confused on how to really put it a clear pictures for investors to.
Jose, we can absolutely. I've already corresponded with you. I'm happy to have a conversation and we can go from there. All right. Sounds good.
Thank
All
you.
right.
And there's a
Appreciate you
message
taking
for
time.
you in chat as well. Bill, you have a comment?
I just want to, yeah. I think what would help you as you're trying to flow this through into your market, because this was news to me when you said 18 to 35, you defined it as the now generation. If you're going to use that term in the beginning, try to define it somehow, or somewhere in your market segment, define it, what it means, and in the competition, you bring all those together, in a flow, and then we'll get it. But when you just said now generation and you building functional products, I'm like, what does that mean? What is a functional product, versus for the now generation, and who are they and what are they looking for? You sort of defined it as you went through. It would be better to do it right up front. Say, okay, this is the targeted user. This is who I'm after. Then I understand where you're starting and flowing through.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Jose, I've got one more comment because I don't want you to conflate users with the people who are buying your service. Okay, so users are tracked by Facebook, but users are not the ones that are advertising on Facebook. So there's a difference between your users and who's actually paying for your services.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. So we have Rosalie and Tal left to present. I sent both of them chat messages to see who was ready, who had slides, and I haven't heard back. So can one of you raise your hand so we know who's going next?
All right, so I'm Rosalie Bingham. I'm the CEO of Local Sparks. We're problem solvers. We're professional problem solvers and developers came out of retirement to do a transparent, logical, compassion solution. This is what we call ourselves. We have a head for business and a heart for community. And we realized that there was a very serious problem with affordable housing an energy waste and waste to energy and food and water shortages. So what we came up with was a very economically and environmentally friendly solution that creates profit within 24 months, because as an entrepreneur and investor, myself and business owner, we realized that we cannot just sustain damage, we need to repair it, and it needs to be profitable. So we have property that we've located in 7 different states and 9 different countries that are willing to donate their, or I say it's a B corporation, which we have. So they're going to, the landowners are going to present their land for us to use these innovative technologies that we have that uses industrial waste to create a viable options. And I don't know how come my screen's not advancing. And so what we're looking for is $200,000 for matching funds and it will only be used to put the patented operational technologies on the land. And we also have veterans that are on board, and we're also in queue for the grants for affordable housing. I have a great team. I've got people from veterans and generals, and Bruce Woodbury, who maybe you're familiar with, as our general counsel. And we've got people from UNLV that are innovative technologists, and people that were the former HUD advisors that know about affordable housing and what we need to do to solve these problems. Our competition is these places that they say are off grid, but they're really still on grid. What we're going to do is create homes that actually recycle their waste, they produce energy, and they grow their own food. The veterans will be there to protect and also work these microgrids of sustainable living. Our markets is, as you can see, is quite substantial, and our sum is very low estimation for the large market that we have. And I'm just asking if you would like to get involved with this. Obviously, we're not looking for a lot of money, but we're looking for additional collaborators to come forward with solutions that make sense and repair damage, because we cannot, I'm worried about this next generation. And if we don't do something in our time frame right here, I'm afraid what's going to come next. So join me.
Okay, Rosalie, thank you. Bill, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I felt like you were kind of struggling in the beginning, trying to get across what you're doing. I mean, I think it's almost like you got to come up with a canned statement. It says, we are trying to solve big problems, and this is how we're going to do it with these people and their expertise, as an opening statement, so that people understand that you're after problems that are societal issues, as opposed to maybe you're trying to make money off of this. You're really not. At the end of the day, you're trying to solve big social problems, which is not easy to do. So something along those lines, I think would be helpful, because I think you were struggling, I could tell, trying to get that across. So I think
get my screens to work. I was frustrated with that.
that doesn't help either. Yeah. And so the solution you defined as these various projects, and that you needed funding for a piece of land, I guess, to implement all of them. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got that right then. And the business model, there really per se isn't a business model, except maybe to try to break even per se. Would that be accurate? No, business, you
No.
actually make money.
We're
here?
selling, yeah, I guess I missed that part. Our revenue stream is to sell we get carbon credits, such a crazy amount of carbon credits that we get. Plus we have the food that we're selling back, and
Okay.
this is,
Well,
yeah,
that
and
could-
plus
that could-
energy that we also, because we have a technology that we're using that gets us completely off grid, so we can use solar panels and everything else, and the energy that we're using and harvesting, we're selling back into the grid.
Okay, so that would be good. Right there, what you told me didn't come across in the business model at all.
Yeah.
At all. I didn't get that, what you were trying to do. So I think you need to work on that. That's a big one, because I saw, the TAM and, the projections and stuff. I mean, no projections really. You didn't have anything that defined it. So I think if you work on that, you'd be better off. That's pretty much the extent of my comments.
Yeah, Rosalie, I didn't understand at all what you were talking about until we got to the competition slide. And then you were telling us how you were different from the other off-grid communities. So I was like, oh, light bulb. Okay, they want to be off-grid. And then they have these housing solutions. I didn't understand how the veterans were protecting things, but you really need to start off in the beginning. You can say that you're solving big problems and that you have these patented technologies that enable you to go off grid and create inexpensive housing, use natural energy, grow food, and make money through selling the energy and the food back to somebody. I don't know who, but I thought I understood when I got to the competition, but as you were talking with Bill, it's like, nope, I still don't have it. So I'm still not absolutely clear on what you're doing. So you have to define the problem and then explain the solution. And the explanation of the solution needs to be 3 sentences max. So if it doesn't actually explain what you're doing, then it's not really a good pitch deck. So Logan.
So kind of just to reiterate some of the points. One, like practice makes perfect, and and 3-minute pitches are hard. That's been an emphasis this entire time. Had you had 10 minutes, I'm sure like more of these details obviously would have come to life. Again, that practice makes perfect. And to Maggie's point, she said 3 sentences. Like a good way that I talk to some early founders and I say, how to think about it is you're having problem A, B, and C. Here's your tell the story, particularly for a social focused endeavor. You're telling the story through A, B, C problems, and this is housing, renewability, et cetera. Then you say solution X, Y, Z as they match up. It's an easy way for you to think about it, and you can get more complex than that, but that's a good way to think about how you're doing these and how you're addressing that when you're going through to make it clear and connected what you're doing. To reiterate Bill's point, the business model, that adds a whole other layer of things that I was like, oh, there it is. Like, that's how they're making money. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff to unpack there that I didn't get any out of in the deck. And again, you'd have more capability doing that in a 10-minute pitch, but that business model is really important, even for a B Corp and the way you're going about it. You made a lot of mention of the technologies, like using patented technologies, which is almost a buzzword if you don't have things to back it up. And that's where that business model, talking about those things, would have been valuable. Because if you say patented technologies, what patented? What do you mean by that? Team info. So on your team, you had a ton of people, and I saw no credentials on there. Just a ton of faces and names. Faces and names are important. You absolutely have names and absolutely have faces. Faces, a lot of times, faces are underrated sometimes. You need to have faces on there, but you have the credentials. And you had too many people on the team. Take down the ones that aren't core and key for initial pitch. Put them in the index or have them before ready, and then add 2-3 bullets of credentials maximum. Make it real truncated, real short. Logos of various high-level projects or companies that those folks have worked with. Your intent to communicate there is like, who are these people and why are they qualified to execute this? So I can't get that from a name and a photo. You did talk about, their credentials. It's good to still have those very streamlined in a streamlined manner listed, shown though. And then of course, the points that Bill and Maggie made. I thought the scan at the end was a nice touch. We're seeing some more pitch decks that have like kind of a scan code at the bottom that you can leave it on, that if they want more information and want to see a website, investors can just hold up their phone and scan it. I know it's not really, it's kind of ancillary to a good pitch, but it was a nice touch I liked. So overall, it's a good mission. So, and practice makes perfect on it. You'll nail this down.
Thanks. I just have a quick question. So on my pitch deck, I I know I was, like I said, I'm a little distracted and I apologize for that. That's my bad on trying to figure out the slide, what was going on with it. But I have my problem. There's 3 problems and 3 solutions, and they're lined up one on top of the other, which it says affordable housing on top. Underneath is innovative building materials and designs, excess waste, and we're energy harvesting, and then food, water, and power shortages by producing food and water on site. So when you say I need to list the problem and the solution, is it that I need to speak it more clearly, or is it the slide was not as clear?
You're talking about, so, you know, we have this problem a lot of times with big idea. They say that, you know, here's a really kind of, they want to solve world hunger, and the solution is to provide more food to the community. Well, yeah, I get that, but what is your technical solution that you can execute on? And so that's where it was a little bit like, you know, where there wasn't as much of a concrete connection. Generally, all those things sound good. I'm just not, you talk about as patented technologies, and yours has a lot to unpack. So it might be good for you to focus on a couple key ones for an initial pitch when you talk about these communities and some of the technologies you're implementing. Because again, it's a little bit too vague. And if you try to touch every single one of them, then the slide, all of a sudden the pitch gets a little bit overwhelmed with all these technologies that you're implementing. Does that make sense at all?
So what I think you're saying is just pick like affordable housing, but don't add that we're also producing water and power and food on the same location.
What we didn't get was that you're trying to create a community that is off grid, so it doesn't tax any of the existing power, that you're growing your own food. I don't, you know, if you have technology around that, you can mention it. And then what was the third problem? Affordable housing. So
yeah, affordable housing. Mm-hmm.
See, so you gave kind of really large problems, but you gave very generic solutions. We don't see the picture of how it all fits together.
Oh. So I could give you like what would be better than say, instead of saying we're using recycled commercial waste to create affordable housing, innovative affordable housing that has R70, and we can build it for $10,000 for 500 square foot. That is too much detail, or that's what kind of detail you're looking for?
No, that is too much detail. If
Okay.
you're telling us that you're going to build tiny homes on donated land that has its own power source, and it grows enough food to sell the food and the energy back to the normal population or whatever.
Yeah, locals.
That would be more descriptive.
Okay. Okay.
All right. And if I'm understanding this long-term solution, this is a rinse and repeat, right? You're going to do
That's
it
correct.
again and
That's
again.
correct.
So that didn't come across either.
Yeah, 3 minutes. There's so much to say. I know, and I don't. It's like so hard to figure out what to. But I appreciate your this time, because it gives me an insight to where I'm missing the mark. But I don't know where to either, you know, be more clear. I'll work on that. So.
I think that 1 minute and 3 minute pitches are kind of exercises almost. Because typically when you do 1 minute or 3 minute pitch, it's if you meet someone pertinent in conversation, like in an elevator, that's an elevator pitch, or if you are social networking and you have just a really brief moment, you don't want to take up, you don't want to have a formal pitch, but you want to quickly tell them your points. Or if it's an event, you know, something like, you know, you have a local community pitch day, or it's just a pitch day that doesn't have a defined economic or investment outcome. So they're kind of exercises. So almost always when you're going to pitch to investors, unless of course it's an impromptu, you're going to have some of that, you're going to have that leeway for that 10 minutes or 7 minutes at minimum. The biggest part, again, of the exercise is to help you nail down your core components and help you get the idea streamlined so that you are effective at delivering it. And if you can deliver it in 1 minute, you can deliver it in 3 minutes. You can deliver it in 3 minutes. You can deliver it in 7 and 10 plus minutes, and you can do it effectively. So don't stress so much on the fact that you got to get it into 3 minutes. More times than often, unless you are obviously impromptu and or networking, you'll have that time. But again, it always pays to run through those exercises and have those 1 and 3 minute pitches ready for those moments you do need them, and to help structure your longer, more fluid pitches.
Hey, I'll keep you guys abreast of this, because it's not just something we're thinking about doing and we're actually doing it. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, keep working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tal, we have next up.
Sorry, guys. So I'm kind of in a little bit of a jam here with as far as the video and the slides because I'm using my phone because my Mac Mini doesn't have the camera. So I'm going to try to do just kind of a stand-up presentation for you guys, if that's all right.
Okay, let me warn you though, that you might be better off holding the phone so that it's focused on the screen, because when you're moving around, it's hard to focus on that screen that's in the background.
Okay.
So we'll be able to hear you. And if you hold the phone up towards the screen, we'll be able to see the slides. Are you going to be able to advance the slides as you're talking?
It's actually going to loop for me. It's more or less like I kind of been practicing this over while I've been listening to everyone do their different stuff, kind of picking up on cues and everything. So give it a shot. If it's terrible, we'll learn from it as we go. So
Okay. All right. I'm still going to time you though. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I will start the timer when say your name and company again.
Okay, so I'm Tal James Luther. I'm with the Premeditated Millionaires, and Mike. Ready?
Go.
Okay, cool. So what I was mentioning earlier is what I'm looking to do is help facilitate a more streamlined real estate process. And super loud. All right, apologize. All right, so basically what's going on is that we are all dealing with a pandemic. And before the pandemic happened, I was in a world where I DJ'd, live event stuff, weddings, graduations, and had a very wide-ranging ability to capitalize and gain revenue off that. And when the pandemic happened, I was forced to pivot. And so in that pivoting, I realized that one of the steady markets that have continued to basically boom throughout the pandemic was the real estate market. So what the problem is that we want to limit each other's exposure to potentially catching this disease, and overall just having the process of selling real estate, it's simplifying it. Because when you go to a house that you've already seen, not only just the house itself, but using like an actual drone, you can fly not only over the house and then around the surrounding areas, but you can see how far you are from your closest school, your shopping centers, and overall, it basically, once someone's actually seen it in a more cinematic way, which is what's going to differentiate myself from any other market competition, is that it basically, someone already knows more than likely if they want to buy that house or not. And so to bring it back to what the community-based efforts are going to be is that me personally, I already have a functioning service where I offer this as a real estate footage. But what I'm trying to implement in the community is that the two key factors in preventing people from offending or reoffending are two things: is education and employment. And if we can offer young adults, at-risk people, formerly incarcerated individuals, an opportunity to, one, gain revenue, and two, learn, which is why we want to focus on the real estate side, because if you get into video editing and the more technical stuff, it takes a long time to learn how to do, voice matching, color correcting, and all these different things. And so big picture, it's a simplified way to introduce people into the world of editing and creating general revenue. And so I'm trying to, facilitate a bunch of freelancers being able to supply for themselves and becoming self-sufficient. So we reduce the recidivism, we limit each other's exposure to the pandemic, and we facilitate a more streamlined real estate process.
Okay. Bill, do you want to start? You had 17 seconds more that you could have used, just so you know.
All right, I was trying to button it up there, but yeah.
Sure. So you spent essentially all your time on just the problem and solution. Whoa, what happened there? He froze. Is he still there?
Maybe his phone did something. He's still connected though.
Oh, okay.
There he is.
So you spent most of your time, all the time, frankly, on the problem and the solution, and didn't get into the other aspects. I mean, what I got out of this essentially is that you're trying to create a service, a marketing service, essentially for real estate using drones. Is that more or less accurate?
I mean, well, not only just also interior, outside. But the thing is that it's creating opportunities for people that may, have the limitations of not being able to get the employment. Because one thing I didn't really get into the presentation is that given the advancements in technology, and that's one of the reasons why I was trying to do the stand-up to show you guys. And just right here, a lot of companies, they talk large numbers and expenses and things like that. Whereas in my drone's one of the better higher end ones. But if you were to start someone out with a Mavic Mini, a Mac Mini, and the expenses, you start someone out as their own freelance company for under $1,500. So that's what I'm trying to do, is cultivate an environment of community to help others, just being able to do that. So,
well, that's a byproduct of the service that you're offering, though, right? At the end of the day, you're going to hire some people, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
And that's what you're talking about, where they would get the opportunities of education and employment, because you're going to show them how to do some of this stuff. But that's a byproduct, or that's part of your business. So what I'm saying here is, instead of focusing so much on the, you can mention it, but I would spend a lot less time on it. But say this is a service, and then you have to move on to, okay, what does the market look like for this kind of service that I'm offering? Okay, and then the competition is how I do it versus somebody else, and then the business is, what are you going to charge? What are you going to charge? Well, you don't need to answer it now, but these are the things that you didn't get to that are really important, so that you need to think about. And then once you've said, okay, this is how much I'm going to charge, and this is what I think I can do, on the available market, which creates a projection, then you're on to, okay, how much money do I need to get this thing off the ground? That's your ask. So that you need to think of this as a progression. You spent an enormous, in fact, all your time on, your solution, problem and solution. But I'd say 2/3 of it was all about what you were trying to do with the drone. So it kind of hurt you by not getting to that other stuff.
Appreciate that.
Logan.
Tal, for endeavors like this, obviously, I think that a lot of people will appreciate the kind of social endeavor itself. That's always great. But kind of to reiterate Bill's point is that I had a hard time seeing how the components were connected. The kind of the community development component meets the business component. If this was a real estate drone company or a video editing component, it's okay to have both those businesses, or that there's potentially free. There's there's a freelancer community development for the population segment that you're going for. There's potentially a drone real estate videography company. There's potentially a real estate focus somewhere in there as well. Point being is separate those. It doesn't need to encompass everything that you want. You can have different ventures for those, or what you're going to find with startups is the best startups have a good focus. They got this main thing, and not even startups, good businesses will have kind of a main focus point. So if they're not meshing very well, consider having them as separate organizations where there can be outlay programs that can probably connect them to some components, because it was really hard for me to get how these pieces are fitting together.
Well, if I could a little just quick feedback on that. One thing is that I kind of sum it up very simply to people is that I'd like to have a for-profit business with a nonprofit ideology. And so basically, I already, like I said, I mentioned, I guess not nearly as much as I needed to expand upon it, but the differentiation between myself and others is that I want to, like what I do is I create cinematic real estate footage. So a lot of people will just do your top to bottom, rooms, location, geographic, but me, I'm trying to create movies so that when you've already looked at this place, you're not looking at it as just, your sum of your parts, but it's actually.
That makes sense. But what I'm talking about is how you're feeding in the kind of the video, like the focus on community component. It's kind of it can be part of something, but it's not necessarily a huge. It was hard for me to see how they integrated correctly, because you wanted to be community facing organization to help those, kind of at-risk populations or populations that were, or that, that want to, but also it's a real estate drone videography company. It's a little bit, so you want to focus on one of those that can have an ancillary component. Like you say, hey, we're a drone videography company, main value add, main value prop. This is what we do. We make stellar footage for these companies, but also, hey, on the back end, we also are working and are participatory in this community. So that's the way to think about it. Again, a couple other points, I don't want to keep you forever, but again, test the tech. I don't know what went in place. And of course, the format we're doing this is pretty cut and dry. We're running fast with this, with these 3-minute pitches. But as much as you can tune in, test the tech, make sure you're geared up and ready to go. Always work on that. Practice makes perfect. So always do practice makes perfect. And now, when you're pitching a company, it's when you're pitching your services, it might trend a little bit different because you're videography, you're going to be pitching something that has a video, maybe a little bit of noise. When you're doing something to people who, when you're going to be speaking over it, you really got to make sure there's no noises. And we tend to say for pitching startups particularly is almost never any videos and never any noise overlay, because they just tend to go wrong. It will interrupt you as you're pitching. It throws it off kilter. Now, for your business, might not be as practically applicable, but think about that if you're ever going to raise money for your venture, to make sure that when you are speaking and pitching, nothing is playing behind you that could be distracting, and you should keep it pretty steady moving forward, unless you are, have a quick excerpt video to demonstrate what you have, and make it, I say quick, like a quick excerpt video that can say, this is what I do, this is why it's good, and now let me talk about it and sell the concept. Okay. But yeah, those kind of the main feedback. Again, you'll nail it down. Your practice makes perfect, and as you start to nail down what the core focus will be, you'll be able to either separate and have another focus for those other parts of the business, or you'll be able to find out where they fit better.
Yeah. I guess the one thing is that when I came to this program, I saw it as like angel investors. And so I figured that like people involved in this kind of program would be like, it would resonate with them that I'm trying to not only just make money for myself, but empower like people around me in like at-risk communities and stuff like that. And yeah, you could sum it up as, yeah, we're a real estate video company, but the focus is that we're trying to offer this as a almost like a school for people that need that opportunity, because a lot of people aren't getting that chance, you know what I mean, to even get the employment. And so an alternative route for them to, overcome these hurdles and obstacles that come into the job market is to become their own freelance employment, so that's.
Yeah, so Tal, I was actually confused about whether you were a school for kids to learn how to do this stuff, or if you were talking about your business as a videographer for real estate. So I was confused about those two things the whole time, because you never talked about what you charge for your service as a videographer, and you didn't talk about what you would charge for the schools. Now, if you're planning to be a school and you're providing that sort of education, there are grant opportunities available for you. But if you're planning to be a videographer, an angel investor is an angel not because they have high and lofty ideas. It's because they come in very early, but they're still going to look at the business plan and the business prospects. It's not, there are social impact investors. I don't happen to be one. AngelNV itself is not necessarily, it doesn't bill itself as a social impact investment fund. It bills itself as education for new angels. And so we're going to go through all the rigor that is required of an angel, probably more rigorous than most brand new angels would do. So we're not that kind of angel.
No, I understand. I misinterpreted the titling. And overall, I guess that's the reason why I would look for funding, is so that I could because I don't want to charge for the service of teaching. I want to be able to do that. Like I said, I mentioned previously before, just briefly, is that I want to be a for-profit company when I do my real estate footage, with a nonprofit ideology where I'm like willing to, the reason I would even look for funding is to basically, get a couple guys, their drones, their computers, and put that and see how it goes. I've worked for a company out in, if you look it up, it's called Snow Day Food Truck in New York. I volunteered for them at first, and then I worked for them for over a year and a half, got them some major market exposure and stuff like that. So I'm familiar with the startup process. And so I guess for me, the things that I took away from that I enjoyed was the teaching part and the positive impact, and seeing kids that were struggling to, provide meals to now they're actually business owners. And so I just, I can do fine on my own, but to expand beyond that, I'd like to be able to employ people. And like I said, employ, empower, educate. Those are the three things that I'm looking to try to do. So.
Okay, well, you have somebody who put something in the chat, and he has a pretty decent sized real estate company. So you got one possible customer out of this pitch today.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah.
So that's
awesome. Thank you.
The way you stated it, you said, I'm a real estate company with a nonprofit, did you say nonprofit ideology, or if I got that right. But anyway, that's a great moniker. You're on the right track. Just make sure, because you're looking for funding, you've got to cover these other things, or they're just going to say, yeah, that's great, but I don't understand how you're going to get there. Okay?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tal. And, continue with the education. And if you didn't get to see the seminars that we had earlier in the fall, if you go to our YouTube page, you can watch those videos.
Awesome. I will for sure. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, Logan, time to take us home.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our last pitch deconstruction day, and hope you guys all got some good feedback, had a chance to run through all of these. So we will be back next week, January 12th, same time. This last and final session for AngelNV, the Founders and Entrepreneur Bootcamp. Yeah.
Next Tuesday is the 11th.
Next Tuesday, yeah. Next Tuesday, the 11th, not the 12th. I apologize. Next Tuesday, the 11th, we will be having our final bootcamp session, and we're going to be going over deal terminology. Last thing that you guys will ever do in the kind of the deal process, or the capital raising process, once you've gotten your pitch deck ready, you started to go pitch to investors, you've gotten all these things settled on. If investors move to make an investment, they like your concept, they want to have more, they want to have another meeting, and they move to make an investment after due diligence, they like your company, then they are going to be throwing a lot of jargon at you, and you're going to have to be learning a lot of new things about deal structure and terminology. And this class will be an intro into deal terminology and deal structure. So this one, it'll be pretty important for you guys considering long-term to raise capital, so that you can go into a meeting at least partially educated with your first investors. So please tune into that. That'll be given by our very own Jeff Saling, the founder, co-founder and executive director for Startup NV, who's been participatory to a lot of deals. So he will have a good foundational knowledge of what we're talking about and things that we've seen. So please tune in. That will be right now we're tentatively still a hybrid session. There will be an in-person component in Las Vegas only. In Reno, there will not be an in-person session. Those in Reno will be tuning in online. And of course, we will also have an online component. Lastly, for resources and the recording of this session today, I will be sending out a recording video, and hopefully by the end of the week with some additional resources. They'll be similar to some of the resources you've seen last time. And of course, you guys are always welcome to, if you have any questions, reach out to us at startup@startupnv.org, or you can reach out to me at logan@startupnv.org. Maggie, did I miss anything?
I just wanted to add that next week there are 2 sessions. So your applications for AngelNV Fund 2 are due on January 18th. And it's the GUST application. It can be, can you put the link in the chat?
I can, yep.
And so on the 13th, we're going to hold office hours. So that will be completely virtual. You can drop in and ask questions. We may have a little lesson just to kind of go over the whole application in the beginning. It's not going to be extensive. And you can come in with your questions, and we will try to get them answered for you. for the application. There you go. There is the application link. And that the Angels are meeting for the first time on February 1st. They're going to be starting to look at those applications after that. Yes, Rosalie, Logan will send out the link from the video from tonight and some other helpful links. So we're going to have office hours on the 13th. Your applications are due at the end of the day on the 18th. The Angels are going to see them for the first time probably on February 2nd, and they'll be starting to make cuts in the number of companies that we're going to look at by February 9th. So you have between now and February 1st, I would say, to try to get everything in place. But once you do your GUST application, it is not static. You're able to go in and replace things, to add more things. You can send a message to us and we can send a message to the Angels about any like new accomplishments that you have. So it's a very interactive platform, and we will have those office hours on the 13th, also at 5:30, so that you can join us if you have any questions on how that application process is going. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday, the 11th, with Jeff Sailing talking about deal terminology.
Take care. Good night, everyone.
There
Thank
he
you.
goes walking in the background. Thank you.